The country is passing through a very, very critical moment in its history. It is that crucial moment in our history where if we do not make a sensible response to the imperatives of the situation, we shall suffer for years and years, if not for decades in the future. It is therefore necessary to understand what are the essentials of the present situation which need to be dealt with by the united wisdom of this whole House, forgetting party loyalties, forgetting party positions, and if necessary, rising to the level of our total intellectual and moral independence. Sir, let us go back to the history of corruption. Corruption is not a discovery by Anna Hazare.
Yes.
It is not a discovery of the year 2010 or 2011. It was discovered long ago when India had one of the best prime ministers that this country has ever produced. A better prime minister than whom I believe we have not produced till today. And that was the great Lal Bahadur Shastri. He was a congressman, and I have been fighting the Congress for ages. But my respect for that great Prime Minister of this country remains totally undiluted and in its old pristine form. He was the one who warned the nation that corruption has made progress at a galloping pace, and it has risen from the lowest levels to the highest decks of our political life. He almost told us that it has reached the state of the central government as well. Unfortunately, Providence did not spare him for the good of this nation for long. And again, we relapsed into that condition in which we were before he drew our attention to this great disaster that was pending. Today, Anna Hazare has done one thing, that he has brought out the consciousness of the nation to this great evil of corruption. And even you have to pay a silent tribute to that man, because you said that you appointed a group of ministers to go into the issue of corruption and study it. Obviously, you confess that corruption has not gone down, that corruption has assumed such proportions that it now requires to be seriously examined. Please do not gloat over the fact which your press has now started circulating, that Anna is no longer attracting crowds. The crowds have lost their sense of novelty, but they have made up their mind that they are going to throw out this government in the next election. And please be aware of it and speak in those terms that you are conscious of the people's wrath. There is another aspect of this corruption, that while this corruption was growing by leaps and bounds, what else was happening to the most important and prestigious investigation agency of this country? I am talking of the CBI. Sir, the CBI was born and it owes its origin to some corruption that came to light during the years of the war. Many people had made large illicit profits and they had to be hounded out and punished. And the CBI was created for the first time to prosecute those people after securing the evidence of their conviction and guilt. The CBI has to exist as a primary investigating agency in this country. The question is, what do you do about it? Why has it happened? I believe that you must, sir, read with me two paragraphs. I want to inform the House about two judgments delivered by the Supreme Court. One in the year 2000, in which they said the CBI had to explain this averment made in paragraph 18 of the writ petition if really it wanted to convey to the court to the non-availability of Part 2 file and so on and so forth. After going into it further, they said that apart, the explanation given in the second affidavit of the CBI also discloses a sad state of affairs prevailing in the organization. In the affidavit, the CBI has stated before the court that the Part 2 file with which the court was concerned was destroyed unauthorizedly with an ulterior motive by none other than an official of the CBI in collusion with a senior official of the same organization, which fact, if true, reflects very poorly on the integrity of the CBI. Sir, this is 2000, the Supreme Court. I don't wish to bother the House with the facts of this, sordid facts of this case. This is 2000, but this follows another 1996 judgment, and that 1996 judgment was perhaps more vitriolic than even the 2000 judgment, in which they said that the High Court has disbelieved the version of the CBI and has criticized it for suggesting such a funny explanation. A biased investigation of the type at hand from the CBI has indeed pained us, because people of this country have still high hopes from it, which would get dashed if bias creeps into its investigations. The CBI requires, therefore, we can't do away with the CBI. Whatever force you substitute in its place will also, by some other name, remain the CBI of the country. I suggest, and I am not prepared to support this bill until and unless at least two conditions are satisfied: that we must repeal Section 4 of the Delhi Police Establishment Act, which was passed when the war ended and the CBI was created as a force. It said that the power of superintendence in that section shall be lodged and vested in the central government. I suggest that this power must now be divested from the central government. It must be transferred and vested in the Lokpal, which you create under the Lokpal bill, and that is the only way to make some changes in the character of the CBI. I am ashamed as an Indian citizen, and you ought to be a little more ashamed than me, that in 1991, the most prestigious paper in the country of Switzerland, a magazine whose name I forget, it will be found in one of my articles, that magazine gave the names, the photographs, the bank account numbers, the amount in the bank accounts of 14 international thugs. Sir, I am ashamed to say that the 14th named person was India's Prime Minister.
Shame.
The trouble is that you have bought most of the press and the media. They are not prepared to tell the people of this country the stark truth which you ought to know.